You have exactly 1 hour to get your trash out of my son's house. 1 hour. Or I am calling the police and telling them you are trespassing. My mother-in-law, Barbara, stood in the hallway like a dictator, her face twisted into a smirk of pure victory. She was holding one of my favorite vases, a gift from my late grandmother, and with a casual flick of her wrist she dropped it. Crush. It shattered into a million pieces on the hardwood floor. She didn't even blink. She just stared at me, daring me to react. Daring me to cry. Did you hear me? She screeched, stepping over the broken porcelain. This is a Sterling family home. My son bought it. My son paid for it. Now that he's gone, it belongs to the family. Not to some gold-digging widow who thinks she can squat here forever. Get out. I stood there, my heart pounding against my ribs. Not from fear, but from the sheer effort it took to suppress the laughter bubbling up in my throat. I looked at my watch. It was 11 a.m. Barbara thought she had won. She thought she had finally crushed me. She had spent the last 3 months, ever since my husband Mark's tragic accident, making my life a living hell. She had moved in to help, but instead she took over. She criticized my cooking, threw away my clothes, insulted my family, and told everyone in the neighborhood that I was the reason Mark was stressed before he died. She had convinced herself that because her son's name was on the mortgage originally, the house was hers by divine right. But there was one tiny, microscopic detail Barbara didn't know. One detail that was about to turn her victory lap into a head-on collision with reality. I looked at her, kept my face completely blank, and said the words that would seal her fate. Hey Barbara. You win. I'll leave. She looked surprised for a second, then let out a cruel, cackling laugh. Finally. Some sense. Leave the keys on the counter. And don't take anything valuable. I have an inventory. I grabbed my purse. I didn't grab clothes. I didn't grab photos. I just grabbed my purse and walked to the door. Where are you going? She demanded. You have to clear out your junk. I'm going to get a coffee, I said calmly. The new owners will be here in 20 minutes. You might want to explain to them why you're standing in their living room. She froze. What new owners? I smiled. A real, genuine smile. The ones I sold the house to at 9 a.m. this morning. It's a cash for keys deal, Barbara. Fast closing. The house isn't mine anymore. And it's definitely not yours. To understand how sweet this moment was, you have to understand the nightmare I had been living in. I met Mark 5 years ago. He was kind, soft-spoken, and unfortunately, completely under the thumb of his mother, Barbara. Barbara was the kind of woman who wore white to her son's wedding. Literally. She showed up in a floor-length cream lace gown and tried to stand between us at the altar. When I got pregnant last year, she told me I was getting fat, and that she hoped the baby had Mark's genes and none of mine. When I miscarried a month later, she didn't send flowers. She sent a text that said, probably for the best. You weren't ready. Mark, bless his heart, tried to defend me. But he was weak. He had spent 30 years being emotionally battered by this woman. He couldn't say no to her. When we bought our dream house, a beautiful Victorian with a wraparound porch, Barbara demanded a key. Mark gave it to her. She would come over unannounced at 7 a.m. on Saturdays. She would rearrange my kitchen cabinets because my organization was illogical. Then the accident happened. Mark was driving home in the rain. A truck skidded. He was gone instantly. My world ended. I was a widow at 28. I was drowning in grief. And Barbara, she didn't grieve. She conquered. The day after the funeral, she showed up with 3 suitcases. I'm moving in, she announced. To be close to my son's spirit. And to make sure you manage the estate properly. Barbara, I need space, I had pleaded. Please. Nonsense, she pushed past me. This is my son's house. I have every right to be here. Legally, she didn't. Mark and I were joint tenants with rights of survivorship. When he died, the house became 100% mine. Sole ownership. But Barbara didn't care about laws. He cared about control. She started telling the neighbors that I was mentally unstable, that I was selling Mark's things for drugs. I don't even drink coffee, let alone do drugs. And that she was the true owner of the property. For 3 months I endured it. I tried to be kind because she had lost a son. But her cruelty knew no bounds. Last week was the breaking point. I came home from work to find my garden dug up. My roses, The ones Mark and I planted together were gone. In their place were ugly plastic flamingos. Why? I asked, shaking. Those roses were attracting bees, she said dismissively, sipping wine on my porch. I prefer a low-maintenance yard. Also, I painted the nursery. That blue was depressing. It's beige now. Much more elegant. She had painted over the nursery. The room we had prepared for the baby we lost. That was the moment the sadness left my body and the rage entered. It was a cold, calculating rage. I went into the bathroom, locked the door, and called a real estate investor I knew. I want to sell, I told him. As is. Fast closing. Cash only. I don't care about the price. I just want it gone. I can have a contract ready in 48 hours, he said. But the inspection. No inspection, I said. I'll drop the price by $50,000 if you waive the inspection and close in 3 days. He agreed instantly. It was a steal for him. For me, it was an escape pod. I spent the next 3 days moving my important things out slowly at night while Barbara was asleep. I rented a storage unit. I rented a beautiful new apartment across town, in a gated community where you need a code to even breathe the air. And Barbara, she was so busy planning her redecoration of the living room that she didn't notice a thing. He thought I was cowed. He thought I was broken. Which brings us back to this morning. After I dropped the "I sold the house" bomb, Barbara just stared at me. Her brain couldn't process it. "You can't sell this house," she stammered. "It's Mark's house." "It was my house, Barbara," I corrected her. "Legally. Fully. No. It belongs to a very nice LLC called Titan Property Group. And from what I hear, they want to gut the place and turn it into rental units. They are not sentimental people." "You are lying," she screamed, her face turning that familiar shade of purple. "You can't do this to me. I have rights. I have lived here for 3 months. I have squatter's rights. Actually, I checked my watch again. You were a guest. A guest who overstayed her welcome. And since you never paid rent and there is no lease, you're just a trespasser." At that exact moment, a heavy knock echoed through the house. Boom, boom, boom. Barbara jumped. I walked over and opened the door. Standing there wasn't a nice family. It was a man named Mr. Henderson. He was the property manager for the investment group. He was 6 feet 4 inches, built like a tank, and held a clipboard. Behind him were 2 other large men and a locksmith. "Mrs. Sterling?" Mr. Henderson asked, looking at me. "That's me," I said brightly. "Here are the keys. The garage opener. And the alarm code. The house is all yours." "Excellent," he said. He looked past me at Barbara, who was standing amidst the broken vase, trembling. "Who is that?" "That," I said, pointing at her, "is a woman who refuses to leave your property. I've told her the house is sold. She says she's staying." Mr. Henderson's face hardened. He stepped into the house. The floorboards creaked under his weight. "Ma'am," he said to Barbara, his voice deep and authoritative, "I am the legal representative for the new owners. You are trespassing on private property. You need to vacate the premises immediately. This is my house." Barbara shrieked, charging at him. "My son bought this. Get out. I will call the police." "Please do," Mr. Henderson said calmly. "I have the deed right here. Recorded at the county clerk's office at 9:15 a.m. Barbara actually grabbed her phone and dialed 911. I leaned against the doorframe watching the show. She was hysterical, screaming at the operator that gangsters had broken into her home. While we waited for the police, the locksmith started drilling the front lock. The sound was deafening. Barbara was running around trying to stop him, but the other men just blocked her path like bouncers at a club. When the police arrived, 2 officers stepped in. Barbara ran to them, putting on her best innocent old lady act. "Officers! Thank God," she cried. "These men are breaking in. And that whore," she pointed at me, "sold my son's house illegally." The officer, a tired-looking sergeant, looked at me. "Ma'am, is this true?" I handed him the folder I had prepared. "Officer, here is the death certificate of my late husband showing I am the sole beneficiary. Here is the deed showing the transfer of ownership to Titan Group this morning. And here is the bill of sale." The officer looked at the papers. He nodded. He looked at Mr. Henderson, who showed his ID. Then the officer turned to Barbara. "Ma'am, he said firmly. You have no legal standing here. The house belongs to these gentlemen. You need to leave now or we will have to arrest you for criminal trespassing. But, my things, Barbara wailed. Buy furniture. The nursery I just painted. You have 10 minutes to grab what you can carry, Mr. Henderson said coldly. Whatever is left behind is considered abandoned property. We have a dumpster arriving in an hour for the renovation. The color drained from Barbara's face. Dumpster. We're gutting the interior, Henderson said. Everything goes. I watched Barbara scramble. It was pathetic. She was trying to drag a heavy armchair toward the door, crying, cursing, slipping on the floor. She managed to grab her jewelry box and a few clothes. Elena, she screamed at me as the officers escorted her out. How could you? You're evil. You are the devil. Where am I supposed to go? I walked down the steps of the porch, past the ugly plastic flamingos she had planted. I stopped right in front of her. You have a lot of friends at the church, Barbara, I said softly. I'm sure one of them will take you in. After all, you're such a good Christian woman, right? She lunged at me, but the officer held her back. I will sue you. I will take every penny. You can try, I said. But the lawyers cost money. And since you spent all your savings on that cruise of a lifetime last year, good luck. I got into my car. My packed suitcases were in the trunk. My bank account was showing a balance with a lot of zeros. I started the engine. I rolled down the window one last time. Oh, and Barbara? I called out. She looked up, mascara running down her face, standing on the sidewalk with 2 garbage bags of clothes. You were right about the roses, I said. They did attract pests. But I finally got rid of the biggest pest of all. I drove away. I watched in the rearview mirror as she stood there, screaming at the empty house, while the locksmith slammed the door in her face. I blocked her number. I blocked her flying monkeys from the family. I moved into my new apartment that evening. It's been 2 weeks. I hear from a cousin that Barbara is couch surfing. She tried to sue, but no lawyer would take the case. Mr. Henderson apparently threw all her beige furniture into a skip the same afternoon. I finally bought new roses for my balcony. And let me tell you, they smell sweeter than victory.